Hi, I'm Graham Bonnet. The new Graham Bonnet Band album will be coming out on May the 13th, and you're listening to Sonic Perspectives.
Welcome back. This is Jonathan with Sonic Perspectives, and I am here with Graham Bonnet, the original Ayatollah of rock and roll himself. How you doing, Graham?
I'm doing okay. A little confused this morning because I've just woken up, kind of ish. No, well, not really, but I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm doing all right. So, if I'm correct, are you currently over on the West Coast of the United States right now? Is that your current location, or are you somewhere else?
Yeah, no, on the West Coast. I've been here since 1979, and my kids were born here, so I have kids who don't speak with my accent, you know, which is kind of weird. They like Daddy's accent. It's funny. Listen to Dad talk, you know. Yeah, so I've been here quite a long time. Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, it's a little change of pace for me. One of my most recent interviews was with Dennis Stratton of Iron Maiden. He's back in the old country, so it's the opposite time frame. So this is a nice little change of pace, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm now in America. Well, I've been an American citizen for quite a while now, but it's a place I've always loved. When I visited here, the first time was probably about 1970 something or other. I can't remember, but a long time ago, and I really loved it. And when I was flying back to London, I thought, oh my God, looking at all the dark houses and stuff. It was, you know, it attracted me straight away. The weather here was one thing that attracted me, but also this is a better place to work, I think. You know, and also, at that time, London was becoming a bit too expensive to live there. It got really over the top, you know. So to come here was a little bit easier, I think. And sunshine, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. That's as good a reason as any. So anyway, one of the things I like to do with these interviews, I like to break the ice a little bit by giving a little background about how I came into contact with your music. It's kind of a funny story. I think you'll like this. My father is actually a fan of yours going back to the days of the Marbles. And he introduced me to your music back when I was a little tyke of 8 years old, and I was listening to all the hair bands. And he was saying, son, I got to introduce you to this band called the Marbles, because if you don't hear about them soon, you're going to lose your marbles.
God, that's a long time. God, you're not very old then. Yeah, that was 1968.
Yeah, it was 12 years before I was born.
Oh, really? Oh my God.
Yeah. I just barely caught the tail end of the 80s. That's how young I am.
All right, gotcha. Yeah, that was our first recording, me and my cousin Trevor Gordon, and the song was written by the Bee Gees, as you probably know. And that really started my career as a recording person, you know. So I'm very grateful to Barry Gibb for writing that song.
Absolutely. And since then, your career has kind of gone through a pretty fantastic evolution ever since then. Is there a part of you that looks back on that time period, or maybe a part of you from then that looks forward and says, what the bloody heck happened to the music? It's way different now than it was back then, huh?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, when you sort of say that, you know, like, oh, the music today is terrible, I feel like I'm repeating my parents' lines, you know what I'm saying? And I don't want to feel like an old fuddy-duddy, and suddenly I am. You know, because I listen to stuff on the radio or wherever, and I think, well, where's the music gone? You know, I don't hear anything that really impresses me now. You know, new bands or whatever, or new singers. It's all being done. I'm waiting for something to happen, like when Queen came along, for instance. That was like, what the fuck is that? You know, it was really different and interesting. And ELO, another one of my favorite bands, and it was just different. And I haven't heard anything really that's, you know, making me prick up my ears, which is a shame, because I love music, but I don't listen to it anymore because I'm not interested. I like to write stuff that has nothing to do with anything else that's going on. So you know, I think that's a good idea sometimes, not to listen to other music and say, well, if they're doing that, I should copy it to be, you know, current and everything. But I know I'm not, because for a start, I'm 74. You know, and I can't pretend that I'm 18 and woo, you know, everybody's going to scream after me. It's not going to happen that way. I just want to make good music. You know, the music is better than the image, I think. It should be better than the image. You know, when you listen to it on the radio, you go, God, what's that? Not by looking at a video, which of course we all rely on, and say, wow, what a great video. We got to, you know, follow that, whoever that is, you know. Our videos are very good though, by the way. And I'm pleased with them very much. But it's I like to listen to music, not watch it, you know. And that's what I want people to do, is listen with their ears and not listen with their eyes, I should say. Something like that.
Yeah, I think that
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I mean, that was
MTV kind of messed things up for people. I mean, I remember when MTV first got really big, and that was kind of my formative years. And after a while, it became completely about image. And I think even when you got into the 90s and they were saying, oh, we're not about image anymore, it was still about image. It's just they changed the image. And I think that that was kind of the beginning of when rock music started to take a bit of a downturn. People started looking to the past instead of to the future. And I think that stuff got a bit reductive. And that's actually one of the things I wanted to get into with your most recent work, actually, because over the past 7 years or so, you've been making a heck of a ruckus in the rock and roll underground. And as somebody who takes streaming audio and YouTube above what's on terrestrial radio these days, I've been keeping a close watch, and the stuff that you've been doing, particularly the Graham Bonnet Band, and also the latest incarnation of ALCATRAZZ, prior to all the nonsense that just happened. I was definitely floored. I was actually honored to actually pen the review for Born Innocent 2 years ago for Sonic Perspectives, and I gave that one some high marks. That was a beautiful partial return to form to the days of No Parole for Rock and Roll, but also a very nice step forward in terms of just production quality and execution. I just love the way that the album flowed. And I would say Joe Stump was the ideal successor to Malmsteen there.
Oh, well, yeah, he's yeah, he kind of copies his style of playing very, very well, I think, you know. But you know, I got a bit fed up with being in that band and not really progressing any much, you know, very much. And I found that Joe was writing all the songs in E in the same key, which was something like, I was going, I've got to know, can you go to F or G or something? Because that's guitar players. And he's one of those guys that if you don't do it his way, then you don't do it at all, you know. It's a bit, you know, oh, this is it, this is all I've got right now. So I had to sort of write my own ideas down or play them to the band to get my voice heard. Anyway, that's kind of, everything's different now, you know. As I said before, there's a new ALCATRAZZ coming up, which is my ALCATRAZZ, which will be completely different from the ALCATRAZZ I've just left, you know. And I feel much better for leaving that. But the main baby now is Graham Bonnet Band. I'm very happy with what we're doing and the way the music's turning out with our stuff, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. And just before we head over to the Graham Bonnet Band material, I also wanted to make a note. You've recruited none other than Jeff Loomis to handle the guitars for the next ALCATRAZZ album. You seem to have a habit of taking these extreme metal guys and getting them to settle down a little bit to play some older and more melodic stuff, don't you? There, huh?
Yeah. Well, he was somebody that listened to what I've been doing. And him being a friend of our guitar player, Conrad, he sort of said, well, let's, you know, get Graham and me together, you know. And I was really pleased that he wrote a song for the album, the Graham Bonnet Band album we just done. And I thought, oh, fucking hell, we should take this a bit further. And so the ALCATRAZZ idea came up, whether it be Graham Bonnet's ALCATRAZZ or just ALCATRAZZ 2, whatever. But I've written 6 songs with him so far for the new album. So we need another, he's on tour right now, but we need another 4, and then we've got a 10 track album. But the stuff he's written right now is kind of pretty heavy stuff. And I'm really enjoying writing with him. He's a fantastic player and a fantastic man. It's a really nice, no ego type person. It's just, you know, casual, easygoing guy, which is nice to hear from me, because a lot of my guitar players are a pain in the bloody ass. They really are. Yeah, and that's when sometimes bands split up, is because guitar players, singers kind of battles. I've heard that a lot from, you know, from David Coverdale and Ritchie Blackmore and et cetera, et cetera. It goes back a million years, you know, when dinosaurs bought the earth, you know. Yeah. But it's always that little rift between guitar player and singer. because the singer wants this, the guitar player wants that, you know. He's got to have his solo in a certain key, but what about me? You know, what about the voice? You know, there's got to be something interesting with the voice. But anyway, with Jeff, his arrangements for the new songs are fantastic. They go all over the place. They're not just in one freaking key. They change key here and there, and different time signatures. That's what I love about him. He's got a very odd time signature kind of feel. Some of it, I go, well, where the hell does a vocal come in? But I've sort of got his ideas in my head together. It's very difficult sometimes. In the last one we did was in 7/4 timing, which is very weird. You know, it's not bomba checka, you know, it's like all over the place. It's very jerky, so to speak. And so it's kind of odd, but I've gotten used to his arrangements, and he's amazing. I love it. It's a challenge, but I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that a lot of the younger guitar players that are sort of they're kind of making waves in the underground right now. There's a big push, I think, to kind of diversify, you know, what scales guitar players are using, because of all the writing that's been in E standard. It's kind of hard to come up with something original when you're just playing in that key all the time. And as somebody who doesn't really, I'm actually a guitar player myself, but I don't usually like to mess with a lot of different tunings because I use the Floyd Rose bridge. But if you know what you're doing, you can play in other keys in E standard tuning. It's just there's certain things that you have to adjust in order to make it work right. But I mean, back in the old days, when you go back to the days of Deep Purple and Black Sabbath, there were plenty of songs in B or C sharp or G. And that's something I think we started to lose once we got into the 80s.
Yeah, you're not kidding, because there's that drop D people are doing now, which of course Jeff does a lot, you know, and we do. And yeah, it's the E obviously is for the low string, you know, it's getting that low sound, but now it's even lower because it's gone to a D. So now we have a low D on the E string. So it's interesting how that sounds actually, because I can't play a guitar with a drop D. It sounds a bit strange. I don't get it at all. And because I'm old school, you know, I play old school. It's tuning is the same every day. But now we have you know, when we're playing, we have well, we don't have to retune guitars. They just have that pedal, so you can detune to whatever the freaking key you like. Yeah. So not all our songs are in E. I mean, they might be written in F or F sharp, which nobody writes in, you know. So it's kind of handy to have that pedal. But sometimes the E is pretty good for some songs. It's got to get away from that and go into another key or another time signature. To get away from the E, it's hard not to go to A and B, obviously. Now, what about going to F sharp to probably G and then probably an E minor? And that's what Jeff does. Jeff Loomis does that. There's a lot of minor chords in his progressions, you know. So, I mean, you know, well, what more can I say? I don't know.
Yeah, there's a certain depth of emotion that comes with using minor keys more often. And I noticed that while I was listening I did get the advanced promo for the upcoming Graham Bonnet Band album, and I wanted to kind of transition into that now. One of the things I noticed that was a bit different was that the range of emotional expressions in the music in the Graham Bonnet Band material, it's a little bit wider than the ALCATRAZZ stuff. I think you're being a little more adventurous with that material, and particularly with the latest album. One particular song, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag too much because the album's not out yet, but 12 Steps to Heaven has a really beautiful melancholy feel to it. And am I right to inquiring that maybe that song has something to do with the actual 12-step program and like all that business?
Wow, you're a very wise man. Oh, you caught me, damn it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a kind of what I was going through, you know, what I am going through. I don't understand it. I see the book and I go, I don't really understand this, you know, the 12-step thing. And I don't see why I should understand it. But it seems like a lot of my friends are going through, they do the, you know, the 12-step program. But that song is about, BW, you know, that's the opening line, I believe. And that was Bill, you know, the guy that wrote the rules, so to speak. Yeah, it's about that and how it's difficult for someone like me to understand it. And I don't want to do it again. You know, the whole song kind of tells the story of how difficult it is for me to go through all these steps and go, I don't, okay, I've read up to step 4. What does that mean? What do I do with that? Where do I take that? I'm going, so I asked my friends who have been through the whole damn thing, and they explain it to me, and I still don't get it, you know, because they're on a different level to me. They're more, I don't know, I don't know what they are, but they're a completely different person to me. You know, I read this stuff and I go, why? Why should I believe in this and not believe in something else that some other person wrote, you know? But, so anyway, that's what it's about. It's basically about being an alcoholic and going to AA. And that's what it's about. I am an alcoholic. I'm recovering, I suppose. I haven't drunk for a million years now, for quite a while. And I did fall off the wagon, though, when the COVID thing happened. I had a terrible, terrible time. I went through the band. So I split with the band and with Bethany, my girlfriend, and everything went downhill. And I didn't know what to do. I went back to my old house and I was alone. And, you know, this bloody, you know, alcohol thing. I walk into, you know, Ralph's or whatever, and there it is, a whole shelf of booze. And you're walking down there, and I was tempted because I felt so depressed and lonely. And I was sitting alone in my apartment, and it got to where I was crawling around my apartment because I'd had too much to drink. And this is a while back when it started, you know. And this lasted for a while, and I didn't know what to do until Bethany came and saved me again. She came back and said, come on, Graham, you can do better than this. And then that's when we got the Graham Bonnet band together. But that song is about that and how it can really kill people apart from anything else.
Absolutely. And that definitely comes through the song. And as somebody who, my father's side, I come from a long line of Irish drinkers. I can definitely sympathize with that. My father has a similar attitude towards the whole 12-step thing because his father wrestled with that for a long time. And for him, it was a simple choice. Like, I'm just never going to touch the drink again. And he's been okay since his mid-20s because of it. But I think there's a sort of weird mystical quality to that whole system. And it doesn't speak to everybody. I don't think it universally works for everybody. I think for some folks, it's more important just to stay busy, to keep your mind occupied. So you're not tempted to go back to that. And I was tempted to start drinking during the lockdowns. That's how bad it was. And I don't really drink that much. So, I mean, it was bad.
Yeah, I mean, it was, apart from it being depressing, it was boredom too. It's like, what the hell do I do today? I'm not going to go anywhere because it's fucking dangerous to leave the place, you know, without having a mask on or something. So lots of TV was watched and lots of pizza, you know what I mean? Along with the booze. And I'm glad that's over with because now I'm perfectly clean, you know, and I feel a lot better. My mind is a lot clearer, even though it doesn't seem to be today. I promise you, it's a lot clearer. I feel a lot healthier, you know. And one thing I found out that I can do now is write songs without drinking. I mean, this happened a long time ago when I stopped drinking. About 18 years ago, you know, and I had 18 years of clean body. And I found out that when I stopped drinking, I could actually write songs. Whereas before I relied on the booze to give me ideas, you know, to take me somewhere else, to give me some kind of flaky idea about something or other. But I can write songs now without having to drink. And that's great for me and for other people, I think. People who are in my band, I'm sure they won't want to see me falling down on the floor and throwing up or whatever, you know. I'm a lot better person in that way so far. You know.
Definitely. And I must say, there's a lot of really interesting ideas on this new album, touching one of the songs that actually is out, so I can talk about it a little more in depth here, Uncle John. So what were you on about with that particular one?
Well, I think it's sort of, it's self-explanatory, I think, you know, it's about pedophiles, you know, that's what it's about. And I sort of mixed that in with a person that was a school teacher at my school when I was about 14 years old. And it was called John Smith. And that wasn't his real name, of course, but we called him, you know, Mr. Smith. And we found out one day, after being teaching in the school for a couple of months, he was suddenly fired. And we wondered where he went to. Everybody's going, oh, we love him. All the kids loved him very much, you know. And he's always going, hey, come here, you know, playing with the kids and, you know, having fun with them, you know. So what happened was I was reading a paper, I think it was the News of the World, I'm not sure, but I opened the paper and it said pedophile arrested, blah, 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 in Sheffield or Nottingham or somewhere. He got to another city, and it was him. It was this guy who was teaching these kids, our teacher, for Christ's sake. And so that came along, that gave me an idea to write the song. But also I've heard stories from children. Well, I've seen documentaries about kids who have been molested by pedophiles, but they've been taken in by certain people to pretend they're part of the family. Oh, I'm your dad's cousin. I'll be, yeah, I'm your dad's cousin. You can call, yeah, I'm your Uncle Brian or your Uncle Philip. Yeah, come with me. Do you want an ice cream? Do you want to go for an ice cream? Yeah, we'll get an ice cream, then we can go to the amusement park. Yeah, you come with me. And then tonight we'll probably watch TV together. And kids are led on by these strange people. It's a thing I don't understand because I'm not a pedophile, but it's a terrible sickness. And, that song is all about that. And it's, I don't know, I can't explain it, but I know what it's all about, I think. And so that's how the song came about. Have you met Uncle John? That's what the kids lovingly call him. That's the line in the chorus.
Yeah, I definitely think that particular emotion is communicated through the music also. And I have not known any Uncle Johns myself, but as a former substitute school teacher, I actually got a couple of long-term assignments replacing teachers that were convicted of that. I didn't take,
really.
Yeah. There are a couple of school districts here in Pennsylvania about 11 or 12 years ago. Two of them back to back, one in a middle school and one in a high school, like literally 10 miles apart from each other within a span of 6 months. Yeah, it was a crazy time.
Fucking hell! Wow, that's creepy. It's creepy, isn't it? It's really creepy.
Yeah. It's unfortunately it's everywhere, and there was a huge explosion of it. Like I'd say about 15 years ago, it was all over the news. You had women doing it too, which I found odd.
Yeah. It's not just guys, no. But I did it about Uncle John because,
Yeah, it's just like Mr. Tinker Train. That's kind of the classic image that you have of one of those people.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I love the drums on that. It freaks me out the way that Sean plays. He's just amazing. Shane, I should say.
Yeah,
he's an incredible drummer because he starts off in 3/4 and then he goes into regular 4/4. And then it goes back into 3/4 again. I like those signatures, time signatures. He's an amazing drummer, and he's in the video, of course. He's incredible. But he won't be our drummer on the road. But we've got a guy who will be just as good, I think. Well, near enough, because
absolutely,
Shane's very busy. Shane's like Jeff Loomis. He's one of those guys that's always on the road with somebody, because he's that good.
Yeah, definitely. You got a whole list of impressive names here that took part in this album. I noticed Roy Z's name also. There's a name that I remember from back in the 90s when Bruce Dickinson was still doing his solo thing. That was the guy that kind of made that happen.
Yeah. Well, me and Bruce Dickinson, we haven't spoken yet, but because of Roy Z being on the album, we're talking about probably doing something together. A little, maybe just like a one-off something or other. I don't know what yet, but Roy Z is fucking great player. He had a great arrangement, and I think that song turned out pretty good too.
Oh yeah,
he's great. He's a good guy.
Yeah, and I also wanted to briefly touch upon the one that Jeff Loomis participated on here, Jester. Anything particularly about the lyrics of that song that you wanted to divulge?
What are your politics? Do you have to ask about politics? No, well, if you... the opening line is a funny line because I had to change it because Bethany said to me, "Oh, you got to change that. You're going to give away the song before it's done." I said, "What's the line? Oh, it's standing on the tightrope with this twisted man." And I wrote, "Standing on the tightrope with this yellow man or orange man." Sorry, orange man. Now, what does that say to you? Do you get a clue, sort of ish?
Yeah, I do. Well, I'm a third party guy, so I'm the guy who when they're interviewing the hockey team say, "Are you Democrats or Republicans?" Says, "Neither, sir. We're Canadians." Well, I guess it's a libertarian, but whatever.
No, you already couldn't guess what it's about. Then later in the song, it says something about his little hands, waving with his little hands. But yeah, that's about the Trump person. And I didn't want to really write anything that was kind of semi-political, because that's not my deal. I don't understand politics, never will. But I just thought this would be like a humorous take on that guy, because he's unbelievable. I can't believe he was a so-called president. That would never happen in England, you know. You have to be educated. This guy, yeah, he was on TV not so long ago, and he had such a weird interview. I couldn't believe what he was saying. Anyway, you know, I've said what I've said, and you take it or leave it. You know, I mean, I don't think I'll get any kind of problem with that. I'm sure a lot of people think the same way.
Yeah, I'll hold off on asking you if you think the current Prime Minister of England is like his long lost cousin or something. But
oh yeah, he's got great hair, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I love him. He's fucking great. I like him. He's the opposite of what a prime minister should be.
All
he's
right.
amusing.
Yeah. So in addition to that, we've got some songs on here with some pretty humorous titles also. One in here, it's just a freaking song.
Exactly. Yeah, that's Don Airy sent me an arrangement of that song, you know, his great keyboard part and all that. And I was sitting there, you know, thinking, what the hell can I do with this song? Because I was thinking, this reminds me of something else. It's very Deep Purple-y sounding. Then I said, oh God, it's just a fucking song. And then, it's just a fucking song. So I turned, Conrad said to me, change the, you know, fucking to fricking, then it'd be okay. So it's just a freaking song. And it's about writing a song and how you can get the block, you know, a mental block. And you don't know what to write it about, but I wrote it about writing a song. So that's what it is, basically. And it turned out okay, I think.
All right. Yeah, a little break into the fourth wall, I guess you could say. Yeah. So one final thing I actually wanted to cover with the upcoming album, and that's specifically with the production team that you got here. You got a number of folks here credited for doing some orchestral arrangements. I'm assuming that's for the closing song, Susie, right?
Yeah, and that arrangement on there is just amazing. I heard that, and it made me cry. It was so emotional. And obviously, I can't, God, what's his name, Bethany?
Shoto Nakama.
Shoto Nakama. Okay, it's Japanese.
Yeah.
Of course it's Japanese. Yeah. Shoto Nakama. And I've spoken to him, you know, on a Zoom level, but I haven't actually met him. But he wrote this thing, and he listened to the song because it was like, basically it was like an acoustic thingy I did. And it's about our friend, Susie, who we lost a couple of years ago. And I thought I would dedicate a song to her. And I spoke to her husband on the phone, and some of the lines in there are words he spoke. And it was pretty emotional. But the guy that did the arrangement, he really listened to the words, and all the orchestration goes exactly where the words are going. And suddenly it stops where her life ended. It's like a bump, and then a note comes in where I go high on a high note, and then it goes to the end. And he just listened to the song, which I love. It's very, very emotional. And I said to Conrad and Bethany, I said, you know, I could have this track on the album without any vocal. It's so damn good. But if we do anything like that again, you know, I think we'll have him do it for us. It's really, really good, you know. And I always thought I'd probably get some problem with that, you know, from the those guys, the heavy crowd. But you know, once in a while, you've got to be sort of on. That's a very honest vocal. It's very. I wrote it in the key where the vocal all the way was up the octave. You know, it starts off on a B note, which is a low B for me, and it's sort of down there because Conrad suggested that. So why don't you sing the verses lower and then just come in high right at the end after the musical break? You make it boom, then you it's a crescendo there. And it's yeah. So it's kind of a little too low for me, but at the same time, it's very honest. It's almost like I'm talking, you know. And so I'm pretty proud of that track. It sounds bloody great. You know, the orchestra is amazing.
Yeah, it's a great ending to what I think is a great album, and I'm hoping I can get a review for it written within the next couple of days. I'm going to be working on that. So we're kind of winding down to the end of my allotted time here. So any closing things you want to say to the fans or prospective concert goers? We got the album coming out on the 13th, and I'm assuming there's going to be some shows either after or leading up to that time period. Any tour dates you want to divulge?
Yeah, well, we've got shows, but they're overseas, and there's only a few we're doing so far because of the COVID thing and whatever else. So we're doing some shows overseas, in England and Wales and where else are we going? Maybe Spain. We're not. I'm not really sure yet. There's going to be some, shows added, but at the moment we've got 3 or 4 shows. But then we'll be coming back here. Hopefully, we can play in the States because it's about time. We don't get many shows over here, and hopefully this album will promote, we'll promote the album with the shows. I'd like to do some of the new songs on stage, and hopefully that this album does well. And please let it do well because I'm very proud of it, And I think it'd be nice to sing some of those songs in front of an audience.
Definitely,
instead of just doing the oldies but goodies, which I've got to do.
Yeah, hopefully there's some folks over here in the Philadelphia area that can show up if you ever appear in this area. Although I think New York might be a better bet because you probably get bigger crowd draws up there than down here.
Yeah. Well, maybe I don't know. Anywhere, I don't care as long as I don't have to get on the plane and travel for 9,000 hours. But before you can actually play. Because everywhere we play, it's like Japan, Australia, Ireland, England, obviously, and all over Europe. But we're never at home. That's be nice to just get out of bed one morning and say, okay, we don't have to travel for 9 hours or 10 hours on the plane. It's 9 hours or 10 hours in the car instead.
Yeah, that's a nice change of pace. Well, with that, we're out of time here, but definitely pick up the album, everyone. Try to catch them on the road if you're in the selected countries listed. And until next time, this has been Jonathan with Sonic Perspectives. Have a good one, Graham.
Okay, thank you very much. That's been really good.